Welcome back to another episode of Tool Shop, guys, and I'm very excited to be announcing part 1, or day 1, of a new series I'm beginning, and that is going to be my hammer making. So, some of you might have seen. If you haven't, make sure to go check it out. I'll put a link up here as well as in the description of the rounding hammer I made before, my very first hammer I made right here. It's about a 4-pound sucker, made it of 2-inch round 4140. Has a metal wedge in it now, and just looks absolutely amazing. Now, I've loved seeing some of these hammers been made before by Ethan Hardy, Alex Steele, and stuff like that. Especially some of Alex's older videos was really cool to watch, and just watching him pound out all those hammers was really cool, pun intended. And so I've gone ahead. This is 2-inch round 1045 steel. I've cut up 10 billets for 2.5-pound hammers. Right now each billet's about 3 pounds, but that's going to be cut down to between the little plug from the hammer eye, as well as just general scale loss and grinding loss. So I've been going through. This is actually what I did the math for a 2-inch 1045 for 12 inches, about 10.6 pounds. For anyone who's interested in that, that's kind of the math for it, up to 6 pounds of 2-inch round 41 or 1045. So I got the 10 of those pieces cut. Once I start forging these, I'm going to take this bar of 1045 as well, 2-inch round, and start cutting some 3.5 pounders in the saw. So while I'm forging those, I'll be cutting 3.5 pounders and starting to make some square circle rounding hammers. So let's get the forge lit and start forging away. So let me talk you through part of the reason as to why I'm deciding to start making hammers. One, they're a very versatile tool that, especially for blacksmithing, everybody uses. The second one is that I really like the look of them. I really like the processes that I've seen people use to make them, and making your own tools is something that I find really cool, and the tooling that I've had to make these is also really cool to me. By doing these sets of hammers, I'm planning on doing 10 2.5 pounders and 10 3.5 pounders. By doing 20 hammers, it'll give me not only experience making hammers, so I'll get better at the process as I go along, but also it'll give me experience under the hammer and stuff like that, and it also gives me something that if any of you are interested in, I'm going to be selling some of these guys, hopefully, if there's a few good ones that turn out. I found it interesting, and I'm hoping to make some of these, and who knows, maybe one of you guys watching at home will be interested in wanting to buy one day. Aside from that, the piece of steel is now heated up, so let's go start forging the first one. Not happy with this first one, so I'm going to throw it back in, and that's another thing, is that I get to practice all this stuff 10, 20 times every time I start doing this stuff. So hopefully by the end of at least 10 of these, I'll be able to forge out it into a square billet under one heat. We'll see. Alright, working on billet number 2 now. Number 1's back heating up. Alright, so billet number 2, looking a little better, still not to where I want it to be, so I'm gonna put this one back in and take the other one out for another heat. So that's billet number 2. I'd say that looks pretty amazing for second billet. Right over to the beginning pile of my hammers. So as you can see, the first one turned out pretty well. Very similar. I'd say the first one turned out a little shorter, but still glowing a little bit, which is kind of cool. But yeah, so I think for next time I'm going to square the faces last and champ for the corners first, and then come back and clean it all up. Those are the 3.5 pounders. All right, let's forge the next one. That's a lot of fun. I think I probably spent the past hour on that, forging 10 billets, something like that. Now, mind you, these ones took me a lot longer than these ones did, but that was amazing. I swear, forging some of those, especially when I got the forge up a little bit hotter. When I got it up a little hotter, oh my goodness, it was like hitting hot Play-Doh. You know that whole thing with Play-Doh where fun to play with, not to eat? I mean, I don't recommend eating steel when it's hot or cold. It was like hitting Play-Doh under the power hammer, and a lot of fun to play with making these. I think the next step is going to be taking these 3.5 pound billets, throwing them in the forge, and starting to square these off to make these guys look like those. I think that's gonna be the next step. Back again, and forge is lit. I got a few billets of steel in there for the 3.5 pound hammers. So let's start forging those into some square circle rounding hammers. Alright, so I just shut down the hammer. It has been a lovely, not that you can really see it, but it has been lovely using this evening. And I almost got all the hammers made, or squared off. These three, I'm not sure if the tanks just froze up. Like obviously they froze up, but I'm not sure if they're out of propane as well or just frozen. But propane stopped coming out as much or at the constant rate it was before, so wasn't getting the same heat out of this and couldn't push it anymore, so couldn't really forge those guys. But I did get 7 of these guys successfully forged. So I have the 10 2.5 pounders right here, and then I got 7 of the 3.5 pounders, as well as my rounding tool, or my cupping tool made for under the power hammer. When I get that video made, I'll put a link up top, and you can check that out. But yeah, so I think for tonight I'm gonna call that a night. I think this is going to be at the end of part 1 of squaring off the billets. I know I didn't get all of them. It's really not all that interesting seeing it repeated. Plus also by myself, I can't really get any cinematic footage of it for you guys. Maybe tomorrow if I have propane, I'll get some footage for part 2. But this is part 1 in the series of my making 20 hammers. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed part 1. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below, as well as hitting that bell notifications for future uploads. Give it a big thumbs up and let me know what you thought down in the comments. And like I said, these hammers I am going to be selling as long as I can get them to a good quality. Like I said, these are practicing as well, an experience for me, but if they turn out well, my goal is to at least have 7 hammers of each, so 14 hammers in total to sell. And so far, I already have 1 request for one set aside for them, so if you want one of those, make sure to leave a comment or contact me elsewhere. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Keep forging on.